I stared at the screen again, hoping I had misunderstood something. My best friend had begged me to pretend to be her boyfriend during her family's annual mountain vacation because she couldn't face another year of endless questions about why she was still single. I had agreed because she had stood beside me through every difficult chapter of my life. But nowhere in that desperate phone call had she mentioned that we would be sharing a single hotel room. Before we continue, if you believe that kindness, loyalty, and second chances can change someone's life, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Echoes of Hope. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts around the world. I wanted to call her immediately and demand an explanation, but before I could, another message arrived. It simply read, "I'm so sorry. I'll explain when we get there." Her name was Marin, and we had been inseparable since our first week of college. We were complete opposites. She was fearless, spontaneous, and always smiling even when life was difficult. I was cautious, quiet, and constantly worried about disappointing people. Somehow those differences fit together perfectly, and over the years our friendship became the kind that survived broken dreams, lost jobs, family struggles, and long periods without seeing each other. A month before the trip, Marin had confessed something she had never told me before. Her grandmother had become seriously ill, and no one knew how many family vacations remained. Her relatives had spent years trying to arrange introductions with eligible men, believing marriage was the missing piece of her happiness. She was exhausted from pretending everything was fine while carrying the weight of their expectations. She didn't want another week of awkward questions. She just wanted one peaceful vacation with the people she loved. I couldn't say no. The drive to the mountain resort stretched across rolling hills painted with golden sunlight. Tall pine trees lined the roads, and small rivers sparkled beside them. Marin spent most of the drive unusually quiet, occasionally looking out the window with a nervous smile. Every now and then she thanked me again for coming, but her voice carried more guilt than relief. When we finally arrived, her entire family welcomed us with incredible warmth. Her parents hugged me as though I had always belonged there. Her cousins joked about finally meeting the mysterious boyfriend they had heard so much about. Even her grandmother smiled with tears in her eyes before gently squeezing my hand. For a brief moment, I forgot we were pretending. Then the receptionist handed Marin our room key. She looked embarrassed before whispering that the resort had accidentally canceled one of the family reservations during renovations. Every nearby hotel was completely booked because of a local festival. There simply wasn't another room available. Neither of us argued. That first evening felt strangely comfortable despite the awkward situation. We laughed about our terrible acting whenever we were alone, carefully practicing little details so our story remained believable. We decided we had supposedly met through mutual friends at a charity event nearly 2 years earlier. We invented favorite restaurants, imaginary vacations, and silly inside jokes. The more we rehearsed, the easier everything became. But something unexpected happened. The fake memories slowly started blending with real ones. Watching the sun rise together while everyone else slept. Walking through quiet forest trails covered with wildflowers. Sharing hot chocolate during chilly evenings beside the fireplace. Helping her grandmother collect old family photographs. None of those moments were part of the plan, yet they became the memories I treasured most. One afternoon we joined the family for a hike leading to a breathtaking waterfall. Halfway along the trail, Marin's grandmother became exhausted. Without thinking, I slowed my pace and walked beside her the rest of the way. She told me stories about Marin as a little girl, describing how she always rescued injured birds, defended lonely classmates, and secretly left anonymous gifts on neighbors' doorsteps every Christmas. I realized I had known my best friend for almost 8 years, yet there were still beautiful parts of her I had never discovered. That evening her grandmother quietly thanked me for making Marin smile again. Those words stayed with me long after everyone had gone to bed. The days passed more quickly than either of us expected. Every breakfast felt warmer. Every family dinner became louder with laughter. Every evening ended with us sitting on the balcony beneath countless stars, talking about dreams we had buried beneath responsibilities. For the first time in years, neither of us felt rushed by life. Then everything changed. One rainy afternoon I accidentally overheard two of Marin's relatives speaking in the hallway. They weren't criticizing her for being unmarried. They were discussing something far more serious. Her grandmother's health had worsened dramatically. The doctors believed she had only a short time left. Marin already knew. She had organized the fake relationship not because she feared awkward questions, but because she wanted her grandmother to believe she was loved before saying goodbye. My chest tightened with guilt. I had spent days worrying about a shared room while she had been carrying a heartbreak too heavy to describe. That night I couldn't sleep. The rain tapped softly against the windows while Marin quietly cried on the balcony, believing everyone else was asleep. I didn't interrupt her. Sometimes the greatest kindness is simply allowing someone space to feel their pain. The next morning her grandmother asked if we would accompany her to the small chapel overlooking the valley. It was an old stone building surrounded by towering trees and endless fields of wildflowers. Sunlight poured through stained glass windows, painting colorful patterns across the wooden floor. She smiled at both of us with remarkable peace. She said life was too short to spend pretending to be someone we weren't. Those words felt aimed directly at me. For the rest of the day I couldn't stop thinking about them. Our friendship had always been honest. Yet somewhere during those 5 days my feelings had quietly transformed into something neither of us had planned. I wasn't pretending anymore. The problem was that I had no idea whether Marin still was. On our final evening the family gathered around a large bonfire beside the lake. Everyone shared stories, laughed until tears filled their eyes, and watched hundreds of glowing lanterns drift into the dark sky. It was beautiful. It was heartbreaking. It felt like time itself had slowed down. When everyone returned to the lodge, Marin stayed behind alone near the water. The reflection of the moon danced across the lake as a cool breeze carried the scent of pine through the night. She admitted she had been terrified of asking for my help because she never wanted our friendship to feel like an obligation. She believed pretending would protect both of us from complicated emotions. Instead, pretending had uncovered emotions neither of us expected. I confessed that somewhere between mountain trails, quiet breakfasts, and shared silences, I had stopped acting. There was no dramatic movie moment. No fireworks. No perfect speech. Just two lifelong friends finally telling each other the truth. Sometimes love doesn't arrive with excitement. Sometimes it quietly grows inside years of trust until one ordinary moment changes everything. When we returned home, life continued with its usual challenges. Work became busy again. Bills still needed paying. Responsibilities never disappeared. But something fundamental had changed. We faced everything together. Several months later we received a handwritten letter from Marin's grandmother. She thanked us for reminding her that the strongest relationships are built not on grand gestures but on everyday acts of patience, loyalty, and compassion. She wrote that seeing genuine happiness in the people she loved had given her more peace than any medicine ever could. She passed away peacefully a few weeks afterward. We cried together while reading her final words. Years later, whenever someone asks how our relationship began, we smile before explaining that it started as a favor between two best friends. Technically that's true. But the real story began the moment we stopped pretending. Before we reach the end, I'd love to ask you something. If this story reminded you of someone who has stood by your side through life's hardest moments, please write, "True friendship becomes the strongest love," in the comments. We'd love to read your thoughts. Life has an extraordinary way of bringing people together when they least expect it. Sometimes the person who quietly supports you through every storm has been your greatest blessing all along. We often search far away for happiness without realizing it has been walking beside us for years. If this story touched your heart, Please like this video, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, share it with someone who believes in true friendship, and subscribe to Echoes of Hope. Your support encourages us to continue bringing emotional stories that remind us all that hope, kindness, and love still exist in the world.